Alright guys, so we're going to graph in Intercept form quadratic equations today. The Intercept form looks exactly like this one here. You have the value of a outside the parentheses, x minus q times n minus p, times x minus q. So we do have two parentheses for the Intercept form. Step number one, it says find p and q for the x-intercepts. You must switch the signs of p and q when you do that. Find the vertex. We need the x coordinates and the y. So to find the x coordinates, we use p plus q divided by 2. And then you substitute into the function, into the equation to find the y value. Step number 3, you draw the parabola by connecting the points. So let's go ahead and try an example here. So we do have this equation here, x minus 2 times x minus 6. Notice a right now is positive 1. So we know the parabola is going to go up, the U shape. Let's go ahead and do the 3 steps that I showed you guys. So step number 1, you want to find the x-intercepts. So P, and let me label it out for you guys. P is the one inside the first parentheses, but you have to change the sign. So minus 2 becomes a positive 2. Q is in the second parenthesis, minus 6, change the sign, becomes positive 6. So these two values are going to be my x-intercepts. So here's 1, positive 2. Here's the other one, positive 6. And step 2, we find the vertex. So for the vertex, we use the formula to find the x coordinates and the y coordinates. So for the x, we add p and q divided by 2. So you substitute and you simplify. So 2 plus 6 divided by 2. So that's going to be 8 and divided by 2, and that's 4. So here's the x coordinates. So, and I want you guys to see something. When you look at the x intercepts, here's one, here's the other one. Notice the middle point is 4. So that's another way you can find the x coordinates. Just look at the two intercepts, find the midpoint, and you found the x coordinates. But to find the y, you go back and substitute. So here's the 4 minus 2. So substitute the x value into the x's. And we have 4 minus 6. Simplify. So we have 2 times negative 2. And that's going to be negative 4. So we have negative 4 here. So 4 to the right, 4 down is right here. We know the x-axis, the axis of symmetry is the one that goes through the vertex and cuts the parabola in half. So there's my axis of symmetry, which is the same value as your x for the vertex. X equals 4, that's your axis of symmetry. And we connect the points. And we got ourselves the parabola. Now remember, keep in mind that when you graph in Intercept form, all you need is 3 points. You need to find the two x-intercepts. You need to find the vertex. And then step number 3, you connect the points. It's nice to have the axis symmetry so people can know that there it is, it cuts a parabola in half, but basically you just need 3 points to graph. So let's try another example. Now for this one, it says write the following function in Intercept form and graph. Now first of all, we can see the equation, the function is in standard form. We don't have parentheses. Here's the value of a, b, and c, but we want to write the function in Intercept form and then graph. So let's go ahead and do that. To write it in Intercept form, when you want to go from standard to intercept, you just factor that equation, that function. So we're going to factor. First, I need to take out, I need to factor the negative. Every time you have a negative a, you factor that out from the parentheses. And when you do that, you need to change the signs of the trinomial or the function. So this becomes positive x squared, negative 2x, and negative 8. Let's continue a factor. When a is 1, we have the value of c to factor. So take this number, negative 8, find two factors that multiply, or two numbers that multiply to negative 8, but they do combine, add to negative 2, which is the middle term. So we have negative 4 and positive 2. Check. When you multiply the two terms, or two factors, negative 2 times 2, negative 4, times 2, that's negative 8. And when you combine negative 4 plus 2, that's going to be negative 2. So that's your b value. We got the right factors. So now you're going to write it in intercept form. So you bring down the negative. Your first parenthesis is going to have x with the first factor, minus 4. Second parenthesis is going to have x with your second factor, plus 2. So this right here is intercept form. So we went from standard to intercept. So now you can graph in intercept form. So step 1, you find p and q. So p is going to be the opposite of the first number, positive 4. Q is going to be the opposite of the second number, negative 2. And then you find the vertex, step number 2. Well, let's go ahead and plot those two x-intercepts first. So here's the negative 2, here's the positive 4 over here. If you want to find the x coordinates for the vertex, remember that we just need to find the midpoint of the x-intercepts. So from negative 2 to positive 4, the midpoint is 1. So x should be equal to 1. But let's go ahead and do the formula I showed you guys, just to make sure. And you can see that it's 1. So you take p plus q divided by 2. You are going to simplify. So that's going to be 4 plus negative 2. That's 2 divided by 2. And that equals 1. So you can see it equals 1. Now we need to find the y coordinates. So for the y, you bring down the negative you took out. Substitute the value of x. So there's the 1, minus 4. So here and here, 1 plus 2. And you simplify the function or the equation. So we have negative 3 times 3. When you multiply negative times negative, that's positive, and 3 times 3 is 9. So my vertex is at 1, 9, 1, 9 up. We know the product is going to go down because we have a negative a, so that tells you it goes down. My axis of symmetry is right in the middle, so it cuts the product in half, and you make your U-shape. Step number 3, you connect the points. I know it's not going to be a perfect U-shape. It's not going to be straight, or it's not going to be really smooth, but you have the idea. So let me write down step number 3. You connect the 3 points. So let's try doing the opposite right now. So we saw how to graph the function when you have the intercept form. So now we want to write the quadratic function in standard form using the zeros 4 and negative 7. Now on this one, we're going to start using the intercept form, but then we're going to change it to standard. So when they give us the zeros, okay, we know one of them is 4, the other one is negative 7. Those zeros are going to be your p and q values. So p value is 4, that's 1, 0, and the other one is negative 7, second 0. Let me write down the intercept form, the general form. So we have a x minus p times x minus q. Now, the example doesn't mention anything about the value of a, We don't know if it goes up, we don't know if it goes down, we don't know how the vertex, what is the vertex and so forth. But you know what? We want to just write down the function, we're not graphing. And since they don't mention anything about a, we're not going to worry about a. We're going to assume that a equals 1, positive 1. So all you do, guys, you substitute the values into the function. So let's say a is 1, x, p is positive 4, but when you plug it in into the function, you change the sign. Remember to switch the sign. So that's minus 4. And q, negative 7, becomes positive 7. So in this step, you want to change it to standard. We have the Intercept form, but it says to change to standard form. So we are going to use the FOIL method, or whatever method you know, to multiply the two parentheses in order to find to have the standard form. So we're going to multiply. I'll use the FOIL. Front x times x, x squared. Outer x times 7, positive 7x. Inner, negative 4 times x, that's negative 4x. And last, negative 4 times 7 is negative 28. Combine the two terms in the middle, combine like terms. So f of x is x squared plus 3x minus 28. So notice on this form, we don't have parentheses. We have a, positive 1, b, positive 3, and c, negative 28. So that's going to be our standard form. So we went from intercept right here to standard. So to go from intercept to standard, you just use the FOIL method. You multiply the two parentheses. The last example for this video, we're doing the opposite again, but instead of having the zeros, we have the graph, and we want to write down the function, the equation. Now it says here to write the equation in intercept form. All right, so we need those two parentheses. Doesn't say standard, doesn't say vertex form, so we just need the two parentheses. So all you do, guys, you look at the graph and you want to find what you need for the intercept form. So let me write down the function for intercept. The function is a times x minus p and x minus q. Alright, first of all, we can see the x-intercepts. Here's one. Here's the other one. 2 and 4 are the x-intercepts. So when you talk about the intercept form, this intercept is p and this one is q. So we're going to substitute those values into the function. So let me write down p equals 2 and q equals 4. Now you are wondering about a. What is the value of a? First, notice the parabola is going down. So a has to be negative. Then, from the vertex, if you go one step to the right, one step down, notice we are able to touch the parabola. One to the right, one down. So that means that a is going to be 1. One to the right, one down. If the parabola is going up, you go one right, one up, then you guys know that, and you're able to touch the parabola, you know that it is going to be 1. So all you do, guys, you substitute the numbers. A is negative because it's going down. P is 2, change the sign, negative 2. So notice you have to change the sign. And Q is 4, change the sign. Oops, I don't want Q. I want X. So we have X minus 4. And here's is my intercept form. Negative A because it's going down.